meeting to order at 6:07. Second item, roll call of directors. Sorry, Jackie.
It's okay.
I know I go fast.
Gorman,
Here.
Kaiser,
Here.
Maples absent, Stankowski.
Here.
Javinsky,
Here.
Bauer,
Here.
Ness,
Here.
Bailey's absent, 0.
Here.
Both Joe and Jessica are excused. They have things coming up. Okay, item number 3, pledge allegiance. Ready? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Item number 4, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
I'll
We
second.
had a motion by Bauer, second by Gorman. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, approval of the minutes from the special June board 11th meeting.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Kaiser,
I'll second.
second by Nest. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, the regular school board meeting, June 16th, minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion by Zebro,
I'll second.
second by Gorman. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. First of all, before we begin with our special presentation, thank you. This might be one of the largest crowds we've had. I'm gonna start making popcorn.
You got like a t-shirt giveaway or something?
What?
You got a
I'm gonna
giveaway,
start
like a
making-
like t-shirts
No,
or something?
no.
Only if we can get a cannon.
I'll sign off on that. Make sure, you gotta shoot it
Okay,
off.
I don't need a weapon, I'm good.
Gotta shoot it off.
So, but no, thank you for coming. I know it's summertime, I know it's hot, but I appreciate your input. We need more people to be involved. All right, item 6, special presentation, athletic department year-end review.
Just going over some things from this last school year. Some of the numbers, we had 416 students in middle school, between 25 teams. That was up 38 from the previous year, so that 416, that does include like the multi-sport kiddos as well, but between all of our teams, 416 kids participated. At the high school level, 510 students were 38 teams. Again, that was up 13 from the previous year. And we ended up hosting just over 350 athletic events, which is just kind of crazy to me. On any given night, there, especially during those peak seasons, peak days, I think there was one day in the spring and there was 9 different events that we're trying to run around to. So lots of activities going on. Some of the things that we looked at the beginning of the season last year, we held our parent and student and coach meetings before every season. We met with the coaches before we did like a whole group meeting. We went over gym, field, and vehicle reservations. We looked, had all the coaches get their vehicle driver approval form signed and completed with their insurance, just to make sure in a pinch, if we needed to, they needed to drive a vehicle. The vehicles were very much used this year, so that, don't exactly know how to equate that to like a dollar. I still need to work on that with the savings there, so that'll be coming. Also looked at with the coaches, all high school coaches need to take a WIAA exam and a rules video every year, and then they also need to be CPR, first aid, and AED trained. And then we also looked at last year, there was some new language for out-of-season coaching contacts, so that actually opened up some of the days in the summer. It used to be limited to, I think it was 5, but last year WIAA opened that up, so that was a good change for our coaches and our students. At those meetings also, we offered impact testing. So the impact testing is that concussion baseline test. So we offered that right at those meetings, just as long as we had a lot of the students there. We got that out of the way as well. At all of our meetings also, we also talked about the importance of concussion safety, concussion protocol, the return to play. The WIA has a nice video that I feel like gives enough information, yet is not boring, and I thought I did a really good job of explaining the whole concussion process. We also had our district nurse there, and discussed the importance of critical health conditions, emergency medications, and injuries, and just making sure that she was up to date on all of that information, so that she could pass that on to any teachers or coaches or anybody else that was gonna need to be aware of any of that. Mrs. Smeal also talked at our meetings also and reviewed the grading and attendance policies for participation. I feel like anytime we're in front of a large audience like that, just to kind of remind the students and parents and coaches about all of those expectations is a good thing. And then also reminded parents and students about our academic supports that we have in place, our study hall and our ELT time. We had our 6-week grading period. At like the 3-week mark, I would run grade reports and I would contact the parents, the teachers, the students, and the coaches, and just try to get everybody on board and just say, hey, I'm looking at your grades, check out what you need to do to get that grade up. We actually had very, very few students that were ineligible this year due to grades, so I think that was a plus. The postseason, starting with the winter season, we sent out student and parent surveys after the seasons were over just to get feedback. And then we sent out postseason reviews of the head coaches, and we used some of the observations. I tried to get to as many things as I can. I was at a lot of the games. I was at some practices and then any other interactions, and then we also used that survey feedback to use in those reviews of the coaches. We had a lot of successes last year. We had 4 conference championship teams. Our football, volleyball, boys basketball, and girls basketball were conference champs in the GNC. We were also regional champs in volleyball, football, hockey, girls basketball, boys basketball, softball, and golf. So lots of good successes throughout the year. We had state send-offs this year for both wrestling and for girls basketball. We tried to incorporate the other schools in that as best we could. We would organize with the elementary and middle school principals, and we actually had our teams walk through the hallways. You can kind of see Jordan Fight there in that top left corner picture, getting high fives from all the elementary kiddos. We had the speaker going, the coaches, the athletes got to walk through, and then we would end in the gymnasium and just say a few words about the team, about the athletes, and wish them well. So I really like doing that and just trying to get the whole community involved. We also had Omar Ingram qualify for state track in high jump. So his was a little bit unique in that it was after the school year was finished, but there was a group of us that met outside the Kresge to wish him well back in June. So some of our athletic successes, here's some pictures from the girls basketball team. It was their first state appearance since 2006, so in 20 years. It was really, really cool to see the community support and our fan base. I was there for several games following our game the next couple days, and I would almost think, I think we had one of the largest communities in attendance at the state basketball tournament, so that was really, really cool to see. And then again, Jordan Fight was down in Madison for wrestling, and then Omar ended up getting a personal lifetime best. He jumped 6'4" at the state track meet, which he finished tied for 8th place in Division II. So his coaches had said they couldn't have asked for a better performance. So really proud of him as well. We had 2 scholar athletes every year. The WIAA has, every school is allowed to nominate a female and a male scholar athlete. So it not only looks at their athletics, but also looks at their grades. Our 2 nominees were Taylor Jerschley and Treve Stoffel. Of the 724 nominations across the state, 32 of them were actually picked to be honored at a banquet, and actually Taylor and Treve were 2 of the 32 kids. So I think there was only 2 other schools in the state that had both their male and female represented there, so that was a pretty cool accomplishment and some great student athletes that we kind of sad to see leave. But we had several students, I think 8 of them, that are playing at the next level. We have Riley Kaiser going to Nazareth, playing hockey, Brooklyn Simonis going to Nyack for girls softball, Taylor Jerschley going to Northwestern for girls softball. So throughout the year, depending on when the athletes decided to sign their letter of intent, we would hold different award ceremonies, normally during like our ELT time. So On this particular day, these 3 girls had all said that they were signing, so we did all 3 of them together in the gym. Otherwise, there was other times that we did it down in like the Kresge entrance area. So just kind of depended on the student, what they wanted, how many other people were signing as well. But then we have the rest of them as well. So Sharif Staffel is going to UW-Madison for football. Ava Bussey is going to play softball at Madison College. Sean Swatsky signed to play soccer at Concordia. And then we have Kendall Sly going to Monmouth to play volleyball. And then Omar Ingram is participating in track and field at UW Eau Claire. So. We also have some other student celebrations that I thought was good to include as well, because it's not just all about the athletics. Just recently, earlier this month, we had 10 FCCLA students attend the National Leadership Conference in Washington, D.C. Sophie Knetter, part of FCCLA, was actually elected as a state officer, so she will be the Vice President in Development next school year. We also had our high school accounting 2 students. They competed at UW-Madison against 27 other teams this year and took first place. So that was really, really cool. It's just kind of cool to celebrate some of these kids that are going on to do different things while they're in high school and getting to see some of the opportunities that are available to them. Marissa and Adeline qualified for DECA Nationals. That was in Atlanta, Georgia. Maya Barrett qualified for the Skills USA competition, and that was also in Atlanta. We had forensics compete back in April. They brought home 5 gold, 7 silvers, and 3 bronze medals. And then the concert choir competed in New Orleans. That was just before spring break, and brought home several amazing awards. So lots of cool stuff going on, athletics and non-athletics aerobics. So. We also had the Mosinee High School Tech Ed Department. They attended the SWIMA banquet. SWIMA hosts a weld and machine tool competition every year, and of the 14 schools that were entered, we ended up placing 2nd overall. So this was the group that ended up being there. Dakota took 3rd place, Xander took 6th. We placed 1st in the machine tool competition, with Hunter earning 1st and Xander 3rd, and then Nolan 4th. And all those students ended up receiving scholarships for their achievements. Next thing that we have is our GNC Lifetime Pass. So this is awarded, we have a gold card that's awarded from the Great Northern Conference, and it's awarded to honor individuals who have made significant long-term contributions to our conference and to our school. This allows admission to any GNC regular season competition, and then the criteria I have listed down below there. So you must be completely retired from teaching and or coaching. A varsity head coach must have a minimum of 10 years coaching experience in the GNC, or assistant coaches must have a minimum of 25 years. So we actually have 2 people in attendance here today that meet this criteria. One of them is Chris Schley.
Thank you.
Chris was our gymnastics coach for 30 years and just retired this year, so lots of time that
Thank you
she's
very
been
much.
here.
Is it really gold?
What?
Is the card really gold?
It is.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's metal,
That's awesome.
so like it won't like get ripped in the wall, like you don't want it.
That's awesome.
And our other coach, retired coach, Paul Vinsky.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Wow, that is nice. I know. Awesome.
We have new athletic training coverage starting this year. Orthopedic Associates of Wausau is going to be our athletic training provider. Megan Stankowski, a physical therapist and licensed athletic trainer, will be our athletic trainer on site. Orthopedics is also hosting a couple of, they might be done now because they were earlier in July, a couple of complimentary sports physicals in Wausau. But then they also, when we were talking in conversation with them, they also offered to host an on-site sports physical offering. So they are doing that on Monday, August 3rd, to get in any kind of last minute kiddos with Dr. Borders that's joining them.
That's
So,
here?
Yes.
You send out something about it?
Yes.
Remind all parents, yeah.
Yes, yes.
It's on the parent checklist.
It's on the social.
Yeah.
It's been on social media.
Text me that
Yes.
morning.
So we're excited to have Megan back. She was at one point with us, and then she went to orthopedics, and now we have her back. So we're excited to have a familiar face, and she's excited to be back. So, what's next? We'll be reviewing the coach and advisor handbook and the co-curricular handbook. There's just some language between the two that is kind of contradictory, or even our high school handbook and our co-curricular handbook, as far as like violations and academic dishonesty. So where does it fall? We just want to make sure that we have the same language in both of the books to make sure we are being as transparent as possible. So that was one example that we found this year that we were like, those are not the same things, so we need to make sure that it is consistent. So, and then during the preseason coach meeting, we'll be going through that coach advisor handbook with all the coaches, including a preseason and postseason checklist, just making sure that coaches are aware of the CPR, first aid, AED training, our emergency action plans at all the different sites that we host events at, making sure students are up to date with their physicals, which we would provide them that information of who we're missing yet, are a couple of things that are on the checklist. Another kind of cool thing that we are looking forward to, we were selected as one of 3 districts in the state to host Levi Nelson. He's from the Way of Champions. It's being sponsored by the Green Bay Packers, and he's coming in for a coach and parent workshop on August 19th. So he'll meet with the coaches at 4 o'clock, and then we'll follow up with the parents at 6 o'clock. So he talks a lot about developing character and building positive sports experiences. So really excited to have him join us.
Just a few questions.
Question?
So, you showed the numbers for the sports, what about the other extracurricular, non-sports, as far as participation? You know, it's a proven fact that kids that are involved
Yes.
have less absenteeism. So,
Right.
looking, you know, what are those numbers at? And,
Sure.
maybe possibly, like, can we see a chart maybe in the next couple of years of how it's progressing?
Sure.
Because I know we have declining enrollment as well, so we're gonna see that could be part of the reason why numbers will be going down if they do.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as like, when you notice the grading with the sports, what about the non-sports students?
Sure.
Are you also tracking those as well, or is somebody else tracking those if those students are becoming ineligible?
Sure.
Yes, we are.
You are?
Just,
Yes.
yes, we are.
Okay, so those are being tracked as well, okay. So that would be interesting to see those numbers, because that number would be probably a lot bigger than just the ones we saw for sports.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It is the cheapest at-risk program we have.
Yeah, exactly.
It is. And Kelly, thank you. I think you probably realize after your first year, it's not easy being an athletic director. It's probably easier to be a head coach than an athletic director, but again, keep keep communicating to coaches, keep evaluating, talking to coaches, and this is going to be, there's some heated topics. There always will be heated topics. For some reason, people get more excited about sports than they do about academics, and that's not always the best thing. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you very much. Okay, item number 7, public forum. Public forum provides the public with an opportunity to ask questions or address issues, including on the school board agenda or not. You ask me, you sign up. Anybody sign up? 2. Oh. And a former student also. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
You are up.
My name is Jordan Ballman.
Oh, one thing. You get roughly around 3 minutes. Okay, go ahead.
I'll talk fast.
No,
My
just-
name is Jordan Ballman. I'm a former graduate from Mosinee. I'm a mom of 3 children who attend the district. I'm proud of everything our district does, and I love this community, but I do always feel like there's room for improvement. So I'm just gonna share some thoughts about the playground. I sent this in an email earlier today, but I'm just gonna read in case anyone didn't have a chance to read it. I think it's important that you hear from parents in the community. So I'm ready to express my support for prioritizing the replacement of the elementary school playground. I appreciate Brandy Gadke's thoughtful letter and agree with the concerns she shared regarding the condition of the current playground and the importance of moving this project forward. I would like to offer my perspective through several different lenses. As a former student of the elementary school from the early 2000s, there is certainly nostalgia in seeing familiar equipment, but it also highlights that these structures have far exceeded the lifespan they were designed for. Every generation of students deserves a safe, well-maintained place to learn and play. As a taxpayer, I believe investing in our schools is investing in our community. Safe, functional facilities are not luxuries, they are essential needs for our students. Just as we budget for maintenance, such as renovations to our beautiful new high school or several sports facilities, we should also plan for replacing playground equipment before it reaches the point where it's unsafe. Hopefully, many of you have had a chance to kind of go over there and see what we're talking about. As a former elementary teacher, I know recess is much more than a break in the school day. Play supports children's physical health, social emotional development, problem-solving skills, creativity, and the ability to return to the classroom ready to learn. A quality playground is an extension of the learning environment. Today, I work as an early childhood advocate and trainer, collaborating with families, educators, businesses, and community leaders to improve outcomes for our young children. Research consistently demonstrates that active play is critical to healthy child development. Children need environments that encourage movement, imagination, risk assessment, cooperation, and inclusion. When play opportunities are limited, children's development is limited as well. Most importantly, I write as a mother of 3 young children who attend the elementary school. I have a daughter going into 1st grade, a daughter going into 4K, and a son who is not far behind any of them. Like every parent, I want to know my children will attend a school where their safety is a priority and they have access to an environment that supports their growth and well-being. I want them to attend a school that reflects a community willing to invest in its youngest members. I recognize that our district faces difficult financial decisions and many competing priorities. I also recognize and appreciate all the efforts that the Playground Committee has made so far, all the planning, all the restructuring, trying their best to raise money and look at how they can financially make it most feasible for a district. At this point, however, I believe this project requires a true partnership between our community and the school district, and I hope the district will now take the next step towards making this project a priority and committing district resources to help bring it to completion. A new playground is not simply an investment in equipment, it is an investment in student safety, development, inclusion, and the future of our community. The children attending our elementary school today only have one opportunity to experience these important years. They deserve a playground that is safe, accessible, and designed to meet the needs of today's students, not one that has reached the end of its useful life.
You have about 30 seconds.
Thank you, that's all.
Oh, that was quick.
I said I'd talk fast.
That's okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to express my,
Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next. I don't start the 3 minutes until you start.
Okay. So, my name is Heather Trachty. I am a 4K teacher in the district, and then we school choice our children to Mosinee, so otherwise they'd be in Marshfield. I've been with the playground project since we started meeting about 2 years ago, and I thank you for listening to all of our concerns and considering this great investment. So, we have been working for 2 years. We've been fundraising and all that kind of stuff. And you've seen the reports and the pictures and different things, and we greatly need a new playground at the elementary school. Safety is one of our biggest priorities for all of our students, and our current playground is just unsafe. The children are unable to play on most of the slides, and there's considerable amounts of rust and things are just falling apart. And another concern is the pea gravel or rocks that provide the cushion under the existing playground. It's not safe. So as we consider a future playground, I ask that you prioritize a fully accessible playground with surfacing such as turf that would allow all children to have access to the playground rather than something like wood chips or rocks again, just because it would be inaccessible to some of our students. So we vetted 3 different companies and we heard all their proposals, and one of the things that we really considered was how inclusive each playground was. Because what good is having a new playground if all kids can't enjoy it? I did check with Dee and I was like, hey, like about approximately how many kids have mobility limitations within our school? And she said about 12. And that might not seem like a lot considering we have about 600 kids, but that's about half a classroom's worth of students. So while we were building up our committee, this past year, I specifically invited family members of some of those children to be part of our team to get their opinions, and I strongly felt that their children needed to be considered when selecting a new playground. And that's why I'm really hoping that you will be good with the turf versus wood chips, just because it is more accessible for everybody. Plus, like, wood chips are more common, but they're not much different than the pea gravel that we currently have. And I know that if we have wood chips, they'll be, you know, in our classrooms, in the hallway, and of course, in families' washers and dryers, because kids stuff them in their pockets and then they throw them at each other and things like that. And we just want to teach them to be safe and have that accessibility for all. So, yeah, I guess I'm just asking for a fully accessible playground that benefits everyone and provides an opportunity for children with and without disabilities to play together, build those friendships, learn empathy, and participate equally, and so that everyone can feel safe outside while playing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for, anybody else? Thank you for taking the opportunity. Okay. Item 8, consent agenda. Anybody have anything that they had pulled out? One thing I want to make you aware of, the handbook was in ours, we approved it, but as I told you last time, I wanted you, there was no major changes really. I just want you to look at it, it's in there, so you are fully aware.
So just the items that were highlighted were,
Yep.
okay?
I just want you to be aware of, because the handbook's a pretty big thing, and we didn't feel it needed to be pulled out, but as I told you last time, we wanted to make you aware of what was going
Oh,
on.
the one thing that wasn't highlighted in there, Diane, I just thought about is we did update, as per, you asked me about this last year. I did go through and do a GNC analysis of co-curriculars and updated all those, there's
Okay.
what was and then
Oh,
what
yeah.
proposed
We
next to it.
changed that too.
So I went through, I can show you the spreadsheet if anybody's interested.
No,
It's extremely large
Yeah.
and
It's good.
complex. but-
Well, it's in there now, I think we changed the appendix, it's F now.
Yeah, it's F, not G.
But you
Right.
should take,
Everybody
you should
knows
take a
it's
look
G.
at it.
Yes. I'll
So
probably
you're
still
aware.
call it G.
Okay,
Yeah.
with that, I will take a motion then.
Also move.
We have a motion by Gorman,
I'll second.
second by Kaiser to accept the consent agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item 9, discussion possible decision, approval of monthly voucher list.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Ness to approve, second by Gorman. Any discussion? Does anybody need anything? Okay? And I do believe we're gonna do a roll call vote.
Gorman,
Yes?
Kaiser,
Yes.
Stakowski,
Yes.
Kavitsky,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Ness,
Yes.
Zebro.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 10, discussion possible decision acceptance of monthly treasurer's report.
Make a motion to approve.
I will second.
Motion by Ness, second by Gorman. Any discussion? Anybody need to abstain from a check, anything? Okay, any discussion, right? Roll call vote again, please.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Stakowski,
Yes.
Kavitsky,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Ness,
Yes.
Zebro.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 11, new business. Discussion possible decision 26-27 board meeting dates. Now, we've talked about this a lot. Craig, you wanna click on them so everybody knows? Or you?
Christie, you wanna
Christie,
click on them so everybody knows?
One of the concerns that has been brought up, and one of it was me, and then I think Dave brought it up, is that we wanted to move the dates to where there weren't conflicts with our administrators. And so we talked about this one, which we would continue, if you go down, we would finish this year.
Well, this is the same as you saw
Okay.
last month, so this
Yep.
is Mondays and Tuesday. There isn't one up there that reflects finishing this year, so what you would need to do, if that's your desire, is you would make a motion that says you wanna go Tuesdays through April and then start Mondays after the reorg meeting
And
make
that
the
was,
dates.
that was the one I was in favor of, because then new board members would know, in your next term, you're gonna meet Monday nights, not Tuesday nights. And you need more, there's other ones, if you wanna click to the other one, this, so you can see everyone.
Right.
Right.
I just don't think it's fair if you're an existing board member that you agreed to Tuesday nights, freed up your schedule, and now we're gonna switch to Monday nights. I would like to do that after the April election. After the reorganizational meeting is on a Monday, and then we would go Mondays after that.
And the only thing, again, maybe it's hard, but this is a meeting of the board, so, that we're hold in public. So we need to be here, and people running for the board knew it was always on Tuesdays. I mean, I understand the Mondays might be easier, but I don't wanna ever push other future board members in a position where they might wanna change it back to Mondays. So it's been Tuesdays, we've never really had issues. You still have sporting events on Mondays. So there's always gonna be conflicts no matter what night it is. We don't get any more people since we've moved it here. So that's my only sell on that. However, if the vote goes, it's the way it goes.
I understand.
Again, I'm just gonna stick with the Tuesdays. I would vote for it.
Any more discussion?
There's less conflict because the sport's on Mondays though?
I'd like to be perfectly clear, there will probably always be conflicts.
Right.
In my experience, there seem to be less sporting events on Mondays than there
I
are
looked
on
at the calendar.
Tuesdays, but I don't wanna like stand here and say, nope, never gonna be one, right? Just, there are often, most of the time, there are less events on a Monday.
So I like finishing out the year with what we voted on originally, like you said, and then maybe changing it in April.
I
So does
just-
that mean we would
I
act,
need
we would have
somebody
to
to
vote
make a
now?
motion for that, and then we can
You
make
have
it.
not, right now, your calendar that you approved runs out tonight.
Oh, I was thinking it ran out in
It
April.
runs out
I thought it was
tonight.
April.
You have to make a
Okay, that's
decision
fine.
tonight for when you're going to meet next month, theoretically, and going forward.
Okay.
You approve a calendar 1 year at a time, and you do it during the July board meeting.
So I would,
August forward.
For September forward.
Okay,
so I would make a motion that we would maintain the Tuesday dates until after the April reorganization meeting, at which time we would move to a Monday schedule.
I'll second.
okay, we have a motion by Bauer to continue the calendar until the reorganization meeting on Tuesdays, but then move it to Mondays, same time, right, 6 PM?
Correct, same.
Committees at 5, or what do we do?
Committees and board meeting times unchanged.
Okay, and we have a second by
Ness.
Ness. Discussion.
I would like the Mondays only because I service, my district is 3 different townships, and their meetings are all on Tuesday, and they're usually the third Tuesday of the month. And, but not only for the school board, but also for, personally, I mean, we own land and different, so it's occasionally a nice thing to attend a town board meeting, and it's good PR too. Different people have said that they liked it, that I came or, you know, gave them an update with the building or whatever it was, so.
Go ahead.
Do you think we'll be able to get the agendas out a little sooner if we would move to this?
We would probably have to have them out by Wednesdays. We want to give you adequate time. Matter of fact, there's probably no reason we couldn't get them out on Tuesday. I mean, it depends. Greg's just gonna say.
I have no problem, but talk to the table over there. You want to wait?
We'll do our best.
If that's the rule, I want them on Thursdays.
My big thing is, as you look at every other school district, Everest, Stratford, everyone, they meet on Wednesdays. Now, I know in this community, Wednesdays is this thing, but they do that for that reason. When I talk to the boards, that it's less conflict.
Right.
And I get what Diane's saying, we're never gonna find anything, and I understand the consistency. That's why I wanted to wait to the new elections, because, you know, there might be people that, they're gonna make their decision on that. So, any more discussion? Okay, we're gonna do a roll call vote.
Stankowski,
Yes.
Novinsky,
Yes?
Bauer,
Yes.
Nest,
Yes.
Zebro,
No.
Gorman,
No.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. All right, item B, discussion possible decision, physical restraint and seclusion report.
Yeah, this is Dee Dee's first chance to get in front of you in her new role. Jumps right in with the
Congratulations.
presentation. But every year, state law requires us to give you a presentation or an update on seclusion and restraint. It's set as a decision, but really, there's no decision to make because you have to approve it because we have to submit the information to DPI. And it's all stuff that already happened, so it's not like we can go back and change exactly what happened. But law says we have to have this presentation for you, so I'll turn it over to Dee Dee.
So he talked about the law, just a little bit about the law. It's called Act 125. Section 118 added a few more factors into that requirement and what we need to report to you. So some of the things that are outlined within this law talk about the training requirements for staff, if they have to use physical restraint within their job, when we should be using it, how do we notify parents about that use within the school? Really defining what we consider a physical restraint and seclusion, and DPI gives us standards on all of those things. And then we collect that data and how we report it out to DPI as part of that law. So in March 2022, that's when section 118 was added to that law, and it really clarified some changes in how we handle these situations within the school setting. One of the big things was our police officers, and when they're acting in a school setting, that they have to follow those same reporting requirements that everybody else in the school setting is required to do, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. And then also as far as documentation, we need to make sure we're having those timely meetings within 24 hours of the incident. If a student with a disability has 2 incidents of a seclusion or a restraint, we have to have that IEP meeting reconvene to review what we're doing for the student, making necessary changes to their plan within 10 days of that second incident. I talked about that training, and it's required that all staff that is going to be a part of these situations be trained in some kind of research-based instruction with de-escalation strategies built really with the focus, along with that documentation, following up with debriefing, so that we are really working towards, the goal is that we're not using these. And so what are our strategies, what things can we implement into our daily practices to get to that point? So when I look at this required data, here's the things that we're looking at that we need to report to the state. We need to let them know the number of incidents of the seclusion, the number of incidents of restraint, the number of students involved in it, and we need to differentiate between who is special ed, who is with a disability and who is without a disability. And then we have to present that in some manner to the board before October 1st. Here's our historical data going back to 2020, and if you look at our trend lines, we had a spike around that 22 to 24 year. We were identified as a district in need of improvement at that time, and we did a very concerted effort to bring that number down. And if you look at the last 2 years, we're still really in that maintaining in that range where we want to be.
Can I ask just a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
At that time, wasn't there also something with the way that things were being reported as well?
Yes, so that was part of that
Okay.
that section 118 where we clarified
Okay.
what was being considered a seclusion and what was being
So the
considered
spike might not have been
restrict-
that.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but that was part of that process when we were identified, we needed to fix our procedures and how we were looking at things. So, this last school year, we did have 7 seclusions or restraints at the elementary school, 3 at the middle school, none at the high school. You still see the information from the Pride Center because it's still valid from previous years, we just don't have that anymore. Looking at the students with disabilities versus non-disabilities, 5 students with out of the 10 different instances, it was 6 students total that were involved in it. 5 students with disabilities and 1 student without a disability. So our next steps, looking at what we've learned from there, our de-escalation strategies and holds program we use is CPI, through the Crisis Prevention Institute. And so making sure that we have 2 trainers on staff. The new program support teacher is going to training next week. So so she will be the second one, trained on staff along with me. And we're working through our in-service to make sure that our staff is trained, ready to go into the school year. We are also adding the school SROs to that training, and they will be attending with our admin staff next week to the de-escalation strategy portion of it. And then later on, we'll be talking about the actual physical pieces of it. So we're starting with that one and then adding the other piece on before school starts, so we make sure our SROs are trained within that model too. Continuing to supply those copies of the forms to the student services to me so that I can make sure they're getting to the right place and we're reporting them in the right way. Continuing to work with staff so that they identify those situations and when it is absolutely necessary to use those restraints or seclusion things because it is the last resort. So building their capacity to provide those de-escalation strategies to students and work with them. Continuing on that. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
So your new sped paras, are they going to be getting classroom management training or behavioral
So-
training or any of those types of things? So that in the classroom, they have a little something to work with?
Yeah, so part of this program, that de-escalation piece that we talk about is those strategies. So it really builds in, you see a student starting to react like this, here's some things we should be trying with them, along with practice time to be able to work through those things. So they all are also included in that.
Okay, good.
How many regular ed teachers are included in that training?
So when we started to see the spike of, with the numbers of seclusion and restraint, we used to train as many people as wanted to be trained in this, but then it was really hard to make sure we were using it in an appropriate way. So we limited the scope of who we train. So really, with training with that CPI model, is our special ed staff and administrators. So then we're making sure that we are really, those are historically the kids that are needing the restraints if we get to that point. And so to try to pull in and make sure we have some regulation of it, we've limited it to our special ed staff. De-escalation strategies is another thing, just working on that piece of it. We haven't, there has been some conversation on that, but we haven't moved to that yet, because I think that's, the verbal piece of it is very important, just maybe not having everybody trained in how to hold.
Do our regular teachers, like when they have some of their in-service days and things, do they go through some of the teaching practices like de-escalation or, little new things that have come out that with the different issues that happen in the classroom? Are some of the regular ed teachers getting that in service type trainings?
Yeah, like we're constantly trying to build their
Right,
their
so they have
capacity there.
something.
We might not be doing it necessarily directly through the CPI program, but
Right.
those things are absolutely getting shared out with them.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Good
Appreciate
job,
it.
thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
We need a vote.
We do need a motion to accept that.
So
Motion by Bauer, second by Kaiser. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, discussion possible decision Mosinee School District Sponsor Guide.
Yeah, I put this together probably over a year ago. I put an updated copy on your desk or your seat. I copied, I missed a couple pages in the board packet, so I apologize for that. But the accurate one is at your seat. The purpose of this is twofold. So let me go backwards. I gave you a copy of this as part of my board report probably 3-4 months ago, I believe it was, to look at. The purpose of this is twofold. Number one, it's an opportunity for people in the community or businesses so inclined to donate to the school and get some recognition for it, whether they wanna buy the naming rights to, Michelle Belo's classroom, you know, to become the Dan Lesniak classroom taught in by Michelle Belo. I mean, that, you know, there are opportunities there for people to do that, along with what they quote-unquote get from it. But the other factor is obviously in today's world, we have to try to find ways to generate revenue, and it's another resource. Do I expect people to be pounding down the door for this? No, I don't. But I think it's an important thing for us to have in case somebody says, hey, I might be willing to give something. Well, you know, you can give them something in return, or if they're, you know, talking to them about, hey, have you thought about naming rights to the Fab Lab? You know, if there's a business so inclined that we have a strong relationship with, you know, here's the dollar amount, and we'll call it the you know, whomever Fab Lab. So it's like I said, it's something to put out there so we have something formal, without having, you know, people making promises on things for different amounts, nothing consistent occurring. I mean, obviously, I created this by looking at a couple other school districts, so I would recommend approval of it, but
So,
I'm open it up to anybody.
Go ahead, question?
Greg,
Yeah.
is this similar to like when you go to different sporting events or whatever, and on the, you know, backside the far wall of the stadiums or whatever, they have the different businesses that have.
It can be business differences, that's usually something different that you gave to parts of the project. I think more along the lines of, you know, you're a baseball fan, American Family Field paid for the rights to have it called American Family Field, and obviously they paid a whole heck of a lot more than
Right.
we would get on an annual basis, but it's that kind of a concept where people would say, hey, I wanna, you know, and I purposely left everything in the Kresge Center area out of the equation, out of respect to the Kresge
Right.
family's donation back in
96.
the 90s. So I left that whole area out of the booklet. But if somebody wanted to, you know, like the tech ed areas, or, you know, outdoor areas, a dugout at a baseball field, you know, I mean, press boxes.
Calandra?
So, forgive me if I missed this, but would the money then go into a certain fund, or what would be?
There's two avenues that is in here that people can have. Usually in a situation like a foundation, there's reserved and unreserved, I think is the terminology that's in here. Unreserved means that we get the right to determine how the funds are spent. Now, obviously, that gives us the most flexibility and freedom, but some people may say, you know, and I've done a naming rights contract before, and some people may say, hey, the only way I'm gonna give you money and have this naming rights process done is if you agree to take, I'll give you, you know, we'll just pull one out of here, I'll give you $50,000 for the metals shop, but I want the money reserved because I want the money to go back into the metals program. Okay, they have that right to do that, or they can say, you guys can use it as you see fit. That's the option of the donor.
Greg, if I'm
with
not
us.
mistaken, this came about because we were having individual people do individual projects. And, you know, like certain things, and we didn't want that. We wanted more consistency that the school district had guidelines on.
Yeah, I mean, it gives guidelines, it gives consistency, and it also just gives people an avenue. You know, you have something to give to somebody. You never know. I mean, some people, I mean, I've been involved in conversations, not necessarily here, but before, where somebody says, you know, their parent passed away and they wanna name you as part of either their estate or a portion of the memorials in lieu of flowers give to blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and then we can say, okay, well, you know, that qualifies you enough, if blah, blah, blah happens, it qualifies you enough that, you know, do you want us to name a kindergarten classroom after you, or whatever.
So Greg, how are you gonna promote it? Are you gonna?
Well, I mean, I think it's part of it's, you know, just letting people know it's there to be putting on the website, but I think part of it's just gonna be more letting the administrators and the staff know about it as they're talking to these people, that there's avenues out there as you're doing it.
But, you know, I think about the one scholarship where the gentleman, nobody even knew, but he graduated in like 47, 49, whatever, and he lived in California and donated, gave $250,000 to the scholarship fund. Now, you know, there might be people out there.
Yeah, and I
So-
think some of that's word of mouth. I mean, I've done a major fundraising project, and, you gotta rely on the people, no matter how long you've been somewhere, there's people that know more than you do about somebody that may, I'll give you an example. When I was at Durand, we had a lady that graduated from there that actually, was one of the only female presidents of a Fortune 500 company and served on the Federal Reserve Board in Atlanta. Well, somebody put us in contact with her, she gave us a decent donation in the name of her family towards our athletic complex. So yeah, I mean, some of that's just word of mouth.
I like the fact that it provides consistency. There's no individual dealing, with this coach is gonna get this amount of money. It's just gives us more stability about what we're doing.
I think it helps provide a direction, but at the same time, so say Van Earth sponsors I'm just thinking of electric company sponsors the metal shop or whatever, so they want their $50,000. Does that somehow discourage another electrical company from donating to our metal shop for machinery? Because, they're not gonna get the same recognition, although they donated the same amount of equipment, but they didn't go
Right.
through this
Well,
program. I don't know, I'm just trying to play
Yeah.
devil's advocate on how that looks.
I think then you have that conversation with them and say, yeah, but there's the Fab Lab, there's the Woods. I mean, there's multiple areas within that CTE complex.
Yep.
Plus, we're also talking about ways to recognize donors even on a smaller scale. On that wall you just walk down where the ramp goes down, that's a big open space. So, was it last month, 2 months ago, I gave an award to Alstrom for child advocacy, because they're a good partner, and since then they've
Yep.
given more stuff. I mean, obviously, they've been a huge partner. We wanna recognize them, and, you guys have seen all the donations that Paul seems to get coming through you. It'd be nice to recognize those
Yeah.
companies as well.
Recognize them, and like I said, it may not be writing a check either. A lot of people have donated their time, and the contractors have done a lot.
We have
Yeah.
2 right now that would qualify for large enough.
Right, so I was gonna say, just make sure that we're not even though they haven't run through this program, we still
And
want to be able
again,
to recognize
this
that.
can be, if we find problems with it, we can change it.
Yep.
You know,
And then the only other thing, like I said, if the classroom, look like most of these were like 5-year contracts, 10-year contracts. So like if I wanted to donate to the class of 2035's elementary school program, my daughter is in that one, and then the 2037 one, I don't know that I'd want a 5-year contract on a classroom, but I guess that would be
Well, I mean, I think, so here's the deal, if somebody
Yeah.
if you wanted to say to me, Greg, I wanna give $2,500 to my daughters, you don't, nowhere does it say you have to have your name on the classroom, it's just,
Yeah,
you can just
right.
say to me, Greg, I really don't want the recognition, I wanna remain
Yep.
anonymous or whatever. Then you don't have your name on it, but maybe, where I saw this coming into play is, I go back to the estate situation. Maybe there's in my time here, we've had a couple, unfortunately, former teachers that have passed away. Maybe that family wants to say, my mom taught first grade, Maybe I pass away, my family goes, Greg spent a tremendous amount of his life sitting in this office here. I want the office named after him. So here's $2,500 and it becomes the Greg Overspike superintendent. I don't know.
Yep.
Just
Yeah,
those.
I'm just thinking of somebody that might have grandkids in the class, in
Yeah.
schools too, and $500 a grandkid for every group that they're in or whatever, like you might be able to spend it that way too, but.
any other questions?
Yeah, Calandra had her hand up.
So will the donor then be able to choose, like, okay, maybe they're recognizing, are they gonna get to pick the name of what they name the classroom?
Within reason. It still has to be school. I mean, you still have policy that says like fundraising, for instance, usually you avoid having ones that have relationships to alcohol, tobacco, like those kind of things, so yeah.
And Greg, we would have to approve it.
Correct.
So they eventually come to the board
Correct.
for approval.
Correct.
And we would keep out,
Yeah.
I said, political
Yes.
images.
Megan, you were next.
Thank you for doing this. I remember New Berlin has a nice one, and they did a presentation on it a couple years ago, so I'm really happy that you've followed suit. The only thing, I think the school forest is already named Lloyd Ash.
Okay, then we can
So
take
you
that off.
take that one off.
It is.
And one that I like that they do, and I think it's kind of neat, and it's a little bit lower in terms of fee. They have a personal seat license for $1,500 per seat, and it reserves the premium seats to district events and the high school theater. So for really big art patrons to reserve a seat with their name on it, I think that's a good way to both generate money for the district, but also get people into our seats and fill those shows up while they're performing. But anyway, I think this is great. Thank you so much.
Many years ago, we put a couch in the press box and
Yep.
you could wrap, we had a pizza and they could sit in the press box and watch the game. It's a big fundraiser.
Where I see a lot of schools do, auditorium is when you have to replace the seats in the auditorium,
Oh,
which is a
sure.
fairly expensive thing, you then sell, so then on the seat, not necessarily reserved, but it says in memory
Donated
of,
by,
or
or
donated
whatever,
by.
yeah.
That's what
Which
you
is-
see it a
yeah.
lot, it's, I
What's-
don't even know what an auditorium seat is right now, Steve, I'm sure you don't know either, but if it's, they're not cheap, yeah, so it's not gonna be, you know, thankfully, we don't have to replace ours yet, but it wouldn't be cheap when we have to.
But some of those, like, those little amounts will all add up, you know,
Yeah,
seat by seat.
We had a used couch, it wasn't expensive.
Anyway,
Pick it up, you see it's playing, it's kids go back to college, or what?
Thank you though, Greg, this
Thank you
is
for your work. Any
spectacular,
more
thank you.
discussion?
I'll make a motion. Are we approving this?
Yep.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion.
we have a motion by Zebro,
I'll second.
second by Kaiser. Any more discussion? Greg, thank you again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item D, discussion possible decision replacement of elementary school playground. Greg, I'm gonna let you go.
Okay, so I kind of have a concept I want to go through here, so I have a couple people kind of queued up to speak on this, Steve and Tom in particular, but first what I want to do is just give you an idea. They started this process a year ago, or 2 years ago now. Still thinking we're in last year's school year instead of it's last year's. Started it a year ago, and then when the change of administration happened, Tom and I kind of stepped in and took it over. One of the things we spent a lot of time on this year, to be honest with you, was vetting out vendors. They really only worked with one vendor in the past. So we, as I think Heather alluded to, we brought in 3 vendors. You know, I vetted all of them first, got them to get some quotes into us, and then they came and did a presentation to our fundraising committee about their product and what they had. We were able to drop, so, you know, although it may look like there wasn't a lot of money raised this year, you also have to look at it as we raised an extra $200,000 because we dropped the price of the playground by over $200,000 this year. So we have it down to $625. The playground itself would be $550, and then Steve working with an individual, for a rough number, it'll probably be less than that, said about $75,000 for demo and excavating. But like anything else, you never know until you get it opened up to see exactly what you're dealing with, but I don't think it'll be that high. So what we did is, the group did some fundraisers this year. The first thing that they did, or we did a couple different fundraisers. We had the thing down at Casa, and then we did a raffle. And then there's plans for another fundraiser that we're kind of working on right now, so I don't want to announce it until we get it finalized. But we got another one that we're kind of working on for the fall. But what I'm asking for, and to give you an update, we have written a grant. Matt Lindsay got us a grant, a little over $25,000. The group right now has about $63,000 in the account. But one of the hurdles that we're running into in conversations with people that are going out to ask for donations is that people are saying, well, you know, 2 things. Somebody's waiting for somebody to give money, first off. And the second thing is, what is the school doing? So really, it's gonna be difficult to do any sort of fundraising of any magnitude to move the needle until the school district makes a contribution or a commitment to this project. As the 2 ladies alluded to earlier, you know, we were working on this, and I would say in the last couple of months, right, Tom, the condition of the playground has deteriorated fairly quickly, to the point where we have some slides that aren't working. So before I go any further down that path, I want to turn it over to Steve to kind of talk about the history and condition and various things related to that.
So just a little bit of a history lesson really quick in regards to timing. Installation during 2007 elementary school addition remodeling project. C. Smith was the general contractor at that time. Equipment was installed at the close of the building project. Items were relocated and some were new. So I don't have history exactly on all that, but I do know some were relocated. The base material that was used to support falls was pea gravel. That is encased in a concrete border, and roughly that's about 14,990 square feet of area. The equipment is inspected monthly, and repairs have been made, through its life cycle. Parts of the original equipment have been replaced, include small parts, hardware, but upon we run into the slides, the platforms are starting to deteriorate, and where they connect to it deteriorating. And some have been removed because of fatigue due to safety issues. Repairs on all these pieces have become more difficult, the availability of parts. One thing to note is talking to different vendors too, the safety codes of how things are built, of course, have changed a lot through the years. So spacing of even equipment on that site itself would not qualify anymore to do it at the new code. So those things have changed as well, which basically makes your space less acceptable for more pieces of equipment, right? You need different spacing. But the base surface that's in there would have to be removed. It is pea gravel. We have a contractor come in every year, we till it, we fluff it, but it does come back. It's a natural piece of that. But that would have to come out, because all the new equipment would be re-poured in sonotubes and cemented in, and then that baseline has to be put back onto a level, whatever surface you put in, whether it's a turf piece or a rubber piece. But you need to set that site properly, and if you're gonna get into all that and tear all that apart, you wanna do the whole project at one time. You would not wanna put the gravel back in, to dig that all back out, to put turf down, that would be kind of ludicrous, because your time and dollars to do that, I don't think it's practical. To think about, we do have a lot of use on equipment, not in, during normal school hours and off hours too, there's always people out there. But I would just tell you that, you're getting to the point of equipment that's basically structurally fatiguing, it's kind of run its life cycle. It's a bullet you're gonna have to look at sooner or later. I guess it's really about you guys make that decision, but the information I can bring forward to you would be the fact that, you have reached this life cycle. So I can't speak more than that to that. And it's all based on weather conditions for us and how much wear and tear on it. But no matter what you put out there now, you're gonna replace down the road too. So it's a piece of the puzzle you're gonna have to just address. I guess depends on what the direction you wanna move forward with.
And just to be clear, it is on your 10-year maintenance plan, so it's Fund 46 eligible.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on that plan.
I got Tom to talk a little bit about how often it's used, the impact for the kids, et cetera, so I'll turn it over to him now.
I have 4 things I wanna talk to you about: the value of the new playground, the number of students that we serve on it, the current situation, and then what a new playground would provide. So a playground is much more than just a piece of equipment. It's an extension of the classroom. It provides students with opportunities to develop physically, socially, emotionally, cognitively through play. During recess, students learn cooperation, problem solving, communication, leadership, conflict resolution, while engaging in healthy physical activity. For many children, recess is an essential part of their day. I know it was for me, I know it was for my 3 kids that attended. Just last year, you talk to kids, the majority of them will say, what's your favorite part of the day? They say recess. That's just what it is.
I still say that today.
Yeah. It allows them to get, when they return to the classroom, they're ready to learn. It's what the brain needs. The brain needs that break. The brain needs that exercise. And that's research. A modern playground demonstrates our district's commitment to providing safe, engaging learning environments that support the whole child. Unfortunately, our current playground no longer reflects that. The equipment has reached the end of its useful life. Its deteriorating condition limits students' opportunities to play safely and fully. The number of students served is pretty incredible. So if you think about it, the elementary playground has got to be one of our most heavily used facilities in our district. We have about 550 students, 4K through 3rd grade. So then each student gets 3 recesses a day, right? So that's like over 1,600 students right now. Not everybody is on the playground equipment. And that's gonna vary, but you think roughly 50%. It really depends upon the class and how many are out there. the way recesses were structured earlier, a lot of times there's a lot of overlap in classes. So like if there's 2 or 3 classes out there, which is a lot, so now you're talking about 350 students at once, they're not gonna all be on the playground, right? But I bet you 150 of them are, right? We're slowly changing that structure, so it's only like, a class at a time, and then minor overlaps, maybe 5 or 10 minute overlaps there. And what I observe is, when it's just one class, now more kids are gonna be on there just because there's more things available to play with, if that makes any sense. And I was just out there this morning, and our Kidstown class was out there, and they just brought one class out there, so it was like 30 kids, every kid was on there. So it really depends upon how many students are out there at once, but the point is, it gets heavy use. So we're talking like about 800 kids per day during the school year. That's a lot. Outside of the school day, I just mentioned the Kidstown, so the after-school program, which has around 75 kids, they utilize that. They're using that all summer. The summer school, which finished on July 2nd, we had what was like a 5 to 6 week program there. We had 585 students in that program. Again, when they're out there, not all of them are using it, but it was a big chunk all summer. So, and then that doesn't count the community after school hours, which I see people out there all the time, and weekends, same thing with the community. So this equipment has been pounded on pretty heavily. The current situation. So it's no longer providing equal opportunities for students as the equipment continues to be closed for safety reasons. Students have fewer choices for active play, leading to overcrowding on the remaining structures and limiting the quality of their recess experience. A new playground is not simply replacing old equipment, it's restoring opportunities for every child to learn, play, and grow in a safe environment. The existing playground has reached the point where repairs are no longer an effective long-term solution. So some of the current concerns is 3 of the bigger slides have now been closed. And so now there's only 2 of the larger slides that are open, and one of them has a, I don't know if you saw in the picture, has a rip in the seam at the top. That's probably gonna go pretty soon. The metal stairs, again, from the pictures, our components are rusting. All of those, there's a picture there. They used to have a nice blue like rubber coating. You can say that's almost 100% gone. So now it's rusting, it's exposed, it's bending, it's breaking. It's a pretty serious safety hazard when you look at that. And then the pea gravel, which we've talked about, presents a lot of challenges. I mean, it goes in a lot of different places. It goes in their pockets, it goes in their ears, it goes airborne. It's challenging. It's challenging. So what a new playground would provide, with modern turf safety surface, would provide lasting benefits for our students and community. It's gonna be safe, it's gonna be a reliable environment, it's gonna increase opportunities for physical activity, it's gonna encourage social interaction, it's gonna help their mental health, their emotional well-being throughout the school day, and it's gonna create a more accessible play environment. You're gonna have more access to more of the equipment with that turf. It's gonna reduce maintenance demands associated with the aging equipment, the pea gravel problems like we talked about, having to sweep that in, finding that in the school, having to fluff it every year, that kind of stuff. It's gonna provide a facility that serves not only elementary students, but the after-school programs, the summer school participants, families, community members, people visiting, whoever it might be. A new playground is an investment in the daily experiences of hundreds of children. Every recess, every after-school program, every summer day provides another opportunity for students to develop friendships, build confidence, stay active, and simply enjoy just being kids in a safe, welcoming environment.
So I don't know, Tom, if you want to just talk briefly about, that's the design that we worked with a company called MWP. Like I said, we worked with Bolin, Lee Recreation, and MWP were the 3 vendors that we worked with, which are the 3 prominent. Lee is probably the most prominent in this area. MWP is out of the cities, and then Bolin is out of Iowa with a Wisconsin satellite office. Not as prevalent, but still a player in the market. So we worked with those three vendors on a design. Part of it is the all-inclusivity aspect of it. As Heather touched on when she spoke, it allows our kids to participate, all of our kids to participate. The reason that turf was selected over port and place rubber. Now, the other thing I think that Steve kind of alluded to but didn't get to is there's all these rules and regulations on fall height. So you have to have so much padding and so much this and that underneath whatever piece of equipment based on the height it is for a kid to fall, how much padding, what kind of theory do you have to have under it. So the higher the distance, the more padding, think of it that way, you have to have. So the days of jumping off a slide directly onto concrete sidewalks are over in today's world. The reason that turf was selected over port and place rubber is sometimes when you get with port and place rubber, I can't even say it, is like a snowplow could catch a seam and then it rips the whole seam up, which we've had an issue with that. There was some port and place out there now that we had some issues with on an area that was recently updated. How long ago was that updated, Steve, the 4K part?
2020?
2020, so that was updated a little while ago, so, so here's what I'll tell you. Here's the ask. The ask is that we do the ask is that the board commits to $600,000. The committee, what they've raised, would pay for any overages over $600,000, and then after, and then if there's any money left, would reduce the district contribution, okay? We also have, we're still actively seeking donors, so that $600,000 may end up, hopefully will become less as we get more donors. Tom had a conversation with somebody yesterday, or today, was it you?
We didn't make
Okay.
contact, verbal contact, but we're
Playing phone tag with a possible donor that we're hoping can come forward with some decent, with a decent contribution, but it's all up to them. So that's what we're asking for. The other option you have available to you would be to replace the playground and then put in engineered wood chips. The two things about the wood chips, number one is it's not inclusive, so your special ed kids, some of them would have would not be able to participate, number one. And then, as Steve alluded to, the reasons he was against it is if you eventually do end up having the money to put in turf, you have to get rid of all the wood chips then and pay another demo or another excavating cost. With the difference between excavating it after you put the equipment in and adding turf later is now they'll take all the equipment out and then take all the pea gravel out. If we do it where we put in the playground, then put in the wood chips, and then say we'll add turf in 2 years, somebody has to go in there by hand and remove all of those wood chips underneath the slides, underneath the platform, like, you can't just take out the whole playground, excavate it all, put the playground back on, and put the turf on. So it's extremely labor intensive the second time around. But
And wood chips you're gonna buy every so many years too, so you're gonna replace them big amounts, so it's an ongoing cost,
Yep.
so.
That's what we have.
Some questions, go ahead, Claudia.
Well, I personally don't need to be convinced of how important recess time is. I wish our elementary students had much more recess time. Or even that it needs to be replaced. Clearly, it's an issue and it needs to happen sooner or later. But I do worry about, we have it on our, elementary school, it's
Tenure
like
plan.
number 5 priority, and we have all these other priorities ahead of it. So I just worry about all the other things that have been prioritized ahead of.
I went out there yesterday.
Playground.
I think the reason it was 5 is, I don't think anybody thought it was gonna go this quickly.
Steve, do you want to talk
it's
about
pretty
why it's
bad.
a 5 priority versus the other ones?
Well, and I mentioned to our committee, I wouldn't get hung up on the priority number, I really wouldn't. Because things are added as you go down the line, and really the crystal ball, from my angle, is only so clear, right? Things do change and then they morph. The big thing about that document is having it on that document, so you can move forward, make a decision off that, and move money where you need to. And there's things on that list, of course, that are gonna be taken care of with this new addition, and those will stay on there until that is complete. So that's a living document, and I guess I wouldn't get tied up in the priority level. I think things kind of morph as they go, and, you know, you have exterior items, and exterior in Wisconsin's tough on things, and what are you gonna do with that? So, I think a safety concern is gonna probably outweigh a lot of that. And I guess I would base my decision on the safety aspect of anything.
Just out of curiosity, so we talked about Fund 46, how much do we have?
Morgan, when you and I talked, it was about 1.6 million.
Is the entire, would all of the district's contribution be eligible from
Yes.
Fund 46? And then a follow-up, if we did that, is there something we wouldn't be able to do this year?
No.
That's, was going to happen?
No.
Is there something we
No.
wouldn't be able to do? What? That's a loaded question.
Well, I mean, there's always
I
something.
get it, we
to-
spent
Yeah.
$600,000,
Right.
something's gonna.
I guess I
get
also
that.
wanna speak of, I understand it's not, it's a balancing act. Part of the reason that this conversation happened out of necessity, number one, but also I wanted to see how far we were along on the building project and get those walls you just toured opened up in the renovation to see what was behind them. And what was behind them wasn't really too much of a surprise for us, so our contingency is not gonna be touched in total. So some of the items that we were going to do, that we were going to pay out of Fund 10, will now be able to be paid for out of the referendum project, because they're referendum-based things, which would then open up the Fund 10 money to go into Fund 46. So what I'm saying is there's some flexibility here.
But we won't know
we
that
have.
Till it's finished.
Till it's finished, but I would say, Steve, calling you again, in my experience is once the walls are opened up, there's not a lot of contingency left to be used, once you open the walls up and figure out what's behind it. We're at the stage of finishes now.
We are, yeah, we're at the stage of pour back, we saw floors being repoured over. One of my biggest concerns always, once you get underground slab, what are you gonna find? You know, plumbing issues, connection issues, there were some concerns on this project based on issues I had prior to like the kitchen area reconnection of things. So we verified a lot of those, and we poured over the top. I would never pour over the top if I wasn't satisfied with what I saw below it, because it'll haunt you forever. So to Greg's point, there's contingency money in there that we have to put in the project that you just really don't know. No, we're not done. I tell Greg, till the last door is hung, I never say never. But right now, I can't see anything in my view right now that would come back and really haunt us with a large dollar amount. So I think you're sitting in a very good financial setting at the bottom of this project, and you can take that for what it's worth. And like I said, you know, we have money pulled out of 10 to fund some of the things that were not out of that contingency, because you just don't do it until you're kind of at the end. So now you have some flexibility, and I think you have to just adjust that and see what you're comfortable with. That's what I would tell you.
This is not a put you on the spot number that I'm about to ask, but if you were to give me the roughest estimate of what would be left over in the contingency, and keeping in mind, I'm not holding you to that, I get it, what would that best guess be? 300?
Yeah, I'd say you're pushing between that 350 range, and I think that'll get you in the ballpark.
Can they still have fundraisers, I mean, going forward? I mean,
Still.
every year that they would still be contributing, which could.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a little harder to do a tremendous amount of fundraising once the project's done, so to speak. But I think we still have an opportunity over the next couple of months to hit some things hard. I mean, the fundraiser we were looking at was, like a September date. We were looking at doing something, and we have one person on our committee that's working on that as we speak. But, you know, I think whatever the board decides tonight is going to help have conversations with some of the donors, because the reality is, you're not gonna build a $600,000 playground doing $5,000 fundraisers. You're barely keeping up with inflation in some cases in that regard. And the price of this is not going to go down if we wait a year or two.
And Steve, if I'm not mistaken, I looked at it, it's amazing the cost of playground equipment has gone through the roof. And probably gonna
everything.
continue to go through the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, well, everything's being escalated, right? So, you know, the question would be is, how would you secure your funding of that piece? And, you know, like in the past, we, based on the time we did the other project, I purchased equipment ahead of time to secure my dollar. We didn't install it, right? We actually stored it off to the side because we couldn't get contractors to do anything. At least I was able to secure your product, right? you're gonna always have a variation in labor costs from year to year.
Is that what we would do now with this?
I don't have that answer, I'm just saying that's what we did prior, just to cover our bases, because we knew where we were gonna be at, and our
We've been
timing wasn't
slow,
very good.
Well, it's a 6 to 7 week lead time, so Tom and I have been talking about if we had to do it, you know, this playground is in bad shape. So I don't really think it makes sense for us to store the equipment off the side and wait another year to try to replace it. So I look at it as a short-term loss for a long-term gain. We may have to close the playground for a week or two while we have company come in and install it, you know, and find other ways to get the kids out to recess and fence off. I mean, there's things that we can do to make this palatable, but I look at it as a week or two of loss is worth the long-term gain going forward.
What is the size comparison of the new playground to the old playground?
It's going to have the current same
footprint.
exactly footprint,
Just
that we were able to.
15,000 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah, we were
Same
able to
footprint.
reclaim the cement border
Okay,
they were
and
able
then are
to
we
use.
keeping the,
Poured and place stuff off to the side.
yeah, okay.
Yes, yeah.
So,
I think Megan, you had your hand up and then.
that was part of my question. My question though, also, the turf versus rubber, the lifespan of rubber versus turf is similar?
Similar.
Because we already have a turf field that we don't have the equipment to properly maintain, and so I don't wanna put in more turf and we still don't have the equipment to maintain that turf and
Yeah,
in
this
a
is a
couple
little different to
years-
maintain than that size
Okay.
facility is. It's obviously a smaller set and the product is a little different than an athletic type turf.
Okay.
This is an area I actually know
Yeah,
a
so
little bit
is
about.
it the same, the rubber flooring like that we already have on the one portion that you guys got in 2020 is the same, the lifespan of that sort
Yeah,
of
they're
surface?
very similar, yes.
And about how long is that?
12 to 15, obviously, one of the things you run into with that is you know, any of that stuff you run into UV,
Yes.
you run into winter, snow, ice, rain, heaving, you know, so, you know, the usage, those are all factors when you talk about turf. Obviously, the less you use it, the longer it's going to last, but then on the flip side, in a place like Wisconsin, it's gonna be drastically different because of the season changes that we have, so it's all, but I would expect 12 to 15 years we should be
Can
able to.
turf be retroactively replaced if it's in there? So,
Yeah, could you?
I
provide-
get what Steve's
Yeah.
saying about, you know, not
Right.
putting the rubber, you're not going from one to the other. If we were to put turf in there, 10 years from now, turf is no good, but equipment is fine.
Yes.
30
Can
more
that-
years,
can it-
right.
Can
Yes.
we replace the turf and continue with equipment?
Yes, you can. Yep,
Sorry,
they
I
just
didn't
cut
mean to
around
jump
it.
in
They
front of you, Donna.
cut around everything, so
That's okay,
yes.
that was one of my
What is
questions.
that, I don't think those costs are broken out, cause the same company's doing the turf
Yeah,
and the
right.
equipment,
Yes.
Right.
right?
Yes.
Just 1 second,
You
Don.
can figure about, the turf is probably gonna run you about 250, up to 600, up to 550.
Did you get your question answered?
No, just one of them.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, one, when I was down at the convention,
Yep.
I ran into the gentleman that you had talked to, and he had this pad that he talked about, and you and I kind of,
Oh, the shock pad?
yeah.
Yes.
Is that
That's
part?
included as part of this underneath for the fall light.
Okay.
So yes, and the company that sells the shock pad to MWP is a company that I've used before, and I haven't pulled strings yet to try to get a better number, which I know he'll give me if I buy from him direct. We'll see a reduction in that. I just haven't played that card yet, but I've already had the conversation with Jim about it at Brock.
Yeah, he demonstrated.
Yep.
I thought,
Yep.
I was hoping that was part of it.
Yep.
And the other question is, how are we going to present this to the community after, with the referendum and everything going on? You know, I hear a little rumbling here and there, you know, nothing crazy. But, you know, now we're going to spend 600,000 on a playground.
I think number one, you be transparent with people and you tell them exactly what we've found, go look at it. And, you know, if I had an elementary kid, I wouldn't want them on this playground now. And number two, you tell them, this is it, this is the cost. And I'm very financially conservative, but this is a 15-year investment in our elementary.
One of the things you run into, Donna, to that point is, and it's a hard thing, because is people drive by on Main Street and they look back and it looks fine. Okay, it looks fine. Number one, it's tucked away.
Yeah.
You can hardly
Right,
see it.
right, yeah.
But when you're driving by in the road, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
there's stuff there.
And kids are playing on it.
Right. But then you go out there and physically look at it,
It's bad.
and then you're like, whoa. So you're gonna have that dilemma,
Right.
regardless of when it's done, is people to understand it. And that's where I would go back to, you know, I would venture to guess how many people even knew it was that bad until the pictures showed up that we had up here earlier, you know, I mean.
Well, I remember how the middle school deteriorated, I mean, and we didn't have, we had bigger kids on the
I would
playground.
advise all of you to go there and just look at it. Okay, I think she was next.
Yes, I mean, I agree with the Calanders and everybody, we agree that if it needs to be replaced, it's gonna have to be done eventually. I just don't like the big, that we're gonna look to fund all of it. I think if we think we can save that 300 to put towards it, let's start that as our starting point and get out there and go after these donors that could be out there. I think if we do all of the money, why would anybody come forward to put any money towards it? And again, we've all heard it, you know, even though the referendum didn't hurt and affect the taxpayers, it was the funding that we weren't getting back or the aid, and looking at what we don't even know we're gonna get this year, if we see another reduction, another hit. So, it's just, the planning didn't come out very good on this one on one night. I mean, this should have been coming to us like in May, so we could have looked at it and planned for it. Now we're kind of put up against the wall, let's do it now. And we don't even know the timeline, how long is the material gonna take to get here?
6 to 7 week lead time.
And how long is it gonna take to put in? Is there any, people are gonna be behind? I mean, we all know right now, if we have to shut down for safety reasons, we do that. I mean, it should be done right, but I don't think the district should put the entire amount in.
I just wanna make one comment. About 6 months ago, it was discussed with the board that we needed to do this, but it deteriorated real fast. So it was discussed. Greg, I think, mentioned it 2 or 3 times to us about, we're fundraising, we're making plans, so just, I understand where you're coming from, but it wasn't like we were blindsided by this. It was discussed. Megan?
Today when we were walking through the new addition, when we got to what was the cafeteria, but is going to be the fitness center, it reminded me of Steve Kaiser, because originally he had put that fluoride in for today. It would fix what they needed for today with an eye on tomorrow, knowing that if we were ever to get this referendum, I'm not gonna replace it with flooring like this, I'm gonna make it that rubbery flooring, cause it would serve twofold. So on that same account, I know we've talked about the busing issues in the elementary school before, so my fear is that we put this much money into a playground, and then in a couple years, we need to completely redo that busing. I know that discussion has been made about changing where they come in, and they'd be coming out that area, and I'd hate to see, you know, we just put all this money down, and now we're going to have to, oh, we forgot about this, we're gonna have to dig it up. That's number one. Number two, we're spending a lot of time, obviously a big portion of this is the turf, and it's so that it's accessible, but when I look at the actual equipment, that is not what looks like to me to be handicap accessible equipment, and what good is it if a kid can get out there but they can't use it?
We have handicap accessible apparatuses on this, that was a conversation we had. If you look at, that's handicap accessible right there, there's a ramp right here to get them there. There's a couple other pieces in here, and it doesn't really show up, but there are some
Yeah,
handicap
is that-
accessible pieces. This is a slide that allows some handicap accessibility aspects to it. So yes, there was a lot of conversation.
I'd
Obviously,
like
you
to
can't
see
make it all.
it be as inclusive as possible, because if you're gonna put a huge bill for it to be accessible, I would want the equipment to be just as
Yeah,
accessible
I think
also.
the balancing act you have to have is if you make it all inclusive, then you're gonna drive the cost, because a ramp is a lot more expensive than stairs. So you make all of these ramps, now 600,000 could become $1 million in a hurry, all right? And you have to, the delicate aspect of this is you have to design it to fit the number of kids you have going out there. If we were a 3-section elementary school, you wouldn't need a playground this big. That's the other thing we have to remember. We theoretically should be 2 elementary schools. Most elementary schools are 3 sections, we're 6.
Yeah.
Not saying I wanna build a new elementary school, but we're a 6-section elementary school which is the equivalent of 2 elementary schools in your Wausau's of your Everest. So you look at the fact that we only have 1 playground, they have 2. Their 2 are probably gonna be more expensive than our 1 because they have to put all of the infrastructure in around their 2, plus have all these other things. So, I mean, I think that the picture we have is different. Now, in terms of answering the bus, you know, and I haven't been here long enough, but I don't envision where the playground is right now ever changing just because of how the building is designed for kids to get to the playground. You would never change, I don't know where you would move it to.
There was a discussion at some point where we'd be coming in.
You would, the discussion I believe is, and we don't have a map here, but the discussion is, from what I understand, is there would be a road that would get added in front of the library and out
Yes.
This way.
the other
Well,
side.
In front of the
Yeah.
building, to the north.
Right.
Extending down.
This way.
Yes, the
No,
road
that
would
it
go
would
in.
stay
In
out.
front of the
Okay.
building. That was the only
Right,
discussion.
Steve?
Correct.
But the issue, one of the issues with that is that the geothermal field too.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can be over the top of the geothermal field, we have to make sure we have enough cover on that.
Right.
We can be on top, but that would be the thing, we'd extend the
But-
parking lot in front of the.
But there's
the
some,
wing addition.
yeah, it's not just a simple put down either because of
No.
the fact that the geothermal field is there. There's some other aspects. So what you're referring to is there's a gate here,
Okay,
so the
sure.
road would go here with this area being extended as a playground. It wouldn't impact anything from here to here.
This could have been, this was obviously before your time, I can't remember, but at one point, I know there was a discussion of coming out the back, extending that, and then having it go through like where the dentist office is, and so they would almost come in like as if you were coming into the high school parking lot, and then come up the back, in between like where George Canadler's was, and then come up that back side.
And I think the question I would
This
have,
was
if
a long
the
time
decision
ago.
was is now you're taking out, you're having to replace all of your track. That's a pretty extensive, I don't know, Steve, if you recall that conversation.
No, not coming, you'd come in the parking lot there where their
Take out
department.
part of the football practice field.
But if you
Yeah,
come
the
out
fo-
here.
going through the football practice field essentially.
There's some talk of that too. I mean, I think the practical side, we had our guy come take a look and study that a little bit. The layout at the time would have been basically infilling where the geothermal field is, redoing those, the approaches that are coming, where you come in now, like right in the center, that would get redone, and you would actually exiting your buses out and going back onto County Road, so that way you would go out. So it'd all be in the front of the building, that was what they
Okay.
kinda looked at. Because we just don't have the real estate to sacrifice, you know, to go, what you're talking about, the sacrifice of real estate, we just don't have it.
Yeah,
It's just
I
not-
know.
Okay, go ahead.
So, first question, I guess, so it started at 800, now we're down to 625. What changed between that, the equipment or the turf? Like, my question would be, are we spending enough now, or did we just find somebody to do it cheaper and we've got cheaper turf? And
It has nothing to do with cheaper, I think it had to do partially with design. I was working with that vendor to try to reduce the cost anyway. And when we looked at a cost with that vendor, similar to what this is, what you're seeing here with this vendor, it was, I don't know, Heather and Tom, about a third of the playground
Yeah, it was.
is what that vendor had, so.
They're like, plant grass, just plant grass in this spot and it'll be fine, like.
Well,
Yep.
the other thing was from that original plan, it was customized.
Yeah.
Everything was custom.
Everything was customized, which jacked the price up. This is stock stuff, so they have it.
Yep. I just wanna make sure we're spending
Yeah.
enough. I don't wanna,
Correct.
you can always find it
We
cheap.
wanna-
No.
We wanna answer all your questions, so feel free. This is a difficult decision.
Yeah, and then my question would be, there was input from the students with disabilities?
Their
And
parents.
on this,
Yep.
they all felt like this
Yeah.
was something that they
So
were
when we did this,
excited
we
about?
had those family members there, and I was like, do you see enough for your children? And they said yes.
Okay.
I can honestly say Heather has been an advocate to make sure this is inclusive.
Yeah.
Because I've tried to find a way to drop the price down and cut some inclusivity out of it, and she yells at me every single time, so.
Thanks, Heather.
Definitely, she has been an advocate for it.
So with that, then my last question would be, so we got the first grant, was it Community Foundation?
Yep.
So that was to make sure it was inclusive, right?
That-
Or it had some, like, did it have
That
language
was,
with it?
no, we wrote a grant for them, and they agreed to purchase, they wanted it to purchase certain pieces of equipment, so we gave them an estimate
Okay,
instead of.
so this playground still fits into that grant?
Correct,
And then-
this vendor gave me the individual price of different pieces of equipment to get to the dollar amount that they were willing to fund in the grant. So
Okay, gotcha.
They bought like 3 or 4 pieces of equipment to get to the dollar amount we're talking about.
Other discussion points?
Non-related, but I would really want them to keep those 3 bars, which are the only original elementary school. There's 3 bars that go like that. And I would really want them to keep it, 'cause that's part of the 1990 original elementary school.
Hey, Megan.
I'll keep it.
Megan, for the right price, we'll name it after you.
25,000. It's in the book. Just approved. For only for 5 years though, Dave.
For a period of time.
Any more discussion?
So the suggestion would be to take half of it from Fund 46 and then,
Suggestion was take
all of it out
All
of
of it.
46.
and then put it back,
and then
put money back
counting
in
on the fact that we might
46.
have maybe roughly around 300,000.
And we might get more donors.
The only thing I would say too is, like I said, we haven't brought it up, but we said we would be the mission, vision statements that we all put together. Safety was a big part of this.
It was humongous.
We wanted to keep that front of mind. That was a big piece of it.
It was.
So as we go and vote on this, before you vote, I guess, that was one of the things we said we needed to focus on. So let's just keep that in mind, because we spent a lot of time on it, so.
And this is a big part of an elementary experience. Big part. So I'll seek if somebody wants to do a motion for the $600,000 out of Fund 46.
I'll make the motion to take 300,000 out of Fund 46 and continue to try to find donors.
Okay, we have a motion for $300,000 out of Fund 46.
I'll second.
We have a second by Zebro. Any discussion on that?
So,
How does that work then?
yeah.
You're not gonna get the playground equipment, you're just gonna wait to see.
Well,
You're gonna
right,
get
he
it, but not
mentioned-
this
yeah,
year.
Right, well, right, but he also mentioned that
Yeah.
maybe now that we put that money out there,
I know this has been, the planning's been going on a little bit for some time, but it just feels like all of a sudden, we need $600,000 and we need it right now, and that is just feeling a little uneasy at this particular moment. Because of everything that's going on with
Right.
the
and we need to finish this
referendum
project.
and all
Yeah.
this stuff, it's like, taxpayers.
Blame me for that if you want to. The fact is it deteriorated very drastically over the
Okay,
last couple of
Gregory,
months.
it's the other 300,000 and we'll be good.
Naming rights.
There you go.
I'm gonna vote no on that because I just wanna get this solved. I know it's difficult, I understand where you're coming from. I think this is an important thing. I am financially conservative, I don't like to spend the money, but it's not like we're throwing this money away. It's going to a good cause, and we will have probably 300-some thousand after that, so when the building referendum's done,
But
so.
that could happen.
That could happen, but it's gonna go back into Fund 46 once we get it. So either way, now we can have it, the project can go forward and we can start building solving. I just don't wanna see the kids we're down to 1 slide. And soon might be down to no slide.
Well, we got open house coming up, we have some big events coming up.
Hmm?
And honestly, I don't have an elementary student, so I haven't seen a lot of information out there. I mean, why don't we do what the MCA is doing and get some posters out there for the playground, for the open house? See, we really need this,
We have.
you know?
We have. Right, Heather? I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
the fundraiser we had was all over social media. We had tickets. We drew for the raffle during open house, or not open house, family night.
Nobody was planning on having this done this year.
Well, the
This
timing
was
just
1 or
seems
2
right.
years
Yes.
away, and it's gone fast. Tomorrow, go look at it, it's pretty bad.
I would agree.
I
I'd
understand.
probably vote no. Just, I hate being half in. I think either we do it and you stand behind it or we don't. That's my opinion, but.
Okay.
We have to act on that motion that's
We're going
already
to.
on the table, then is that put the item to bed, or is there the option?
Then
No,
we
you
have
can come back
another-
with
Can I
another
ask
motion.
another question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Obviously, you need the full amount to move forward with
Yes.
this project.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, We're gonna do a roll call vote, please.
Start with Davinsky,
No.
Bauer,
No.
Nest,
No.
Zebro,
Yes.
Mormon,
Yes.
Kaiser,
No.
Stankowski.
No.
Motion fails. I will seek a motion for the full 600,000.
I'll make a motion to.
We got a motion by Ness for
full
the,
600,000 for
Out of-
replacement of the elementary school playground
out of Fund 46.
out of Fund 46.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Bauer. Any more discussion? I think we probably had a lot of discussion. Roll call vote, please. Take your time.
Bauer,
Yes.
Nest,
Yes.
Zebro,
No.
Mormon,
No.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Stankowski,
Yes.
Davinsky.
Yes, motion carries. All right, item 12, administrative reports.
I got nothing.
Anybody else?
I got nothing.
Anybody else want to say anything?
I had one question, but it was
Go
more
ahead.
on,
Go ahead.
Tom, so you had brought up the new teacher orientation. Last year you had invited board members to that. Again, I don't know what our plans are with that.
We are finalizing the in-service agenda at an admin retreat on Monday. And then my
Thank
plan
you.
was in another board update, monthly update. Another monthly update, or a weekly update, I will lay out all your in-service options to
Okay.
attend.
Perfect, that was the only thing I
Yeah.
had, so.
Yep.
I saw the schedule was coming out, so just wanna make sure I get on my calendar.
And I think you invite all of us to the opening.
Opening day address is 24th
in the morning.
in the morning. So the 24th in the morning, chicken scratch that on your list. We'll do some, our plan is to do some breakfast and building tours. So we'll probably get started
You
in
pop
the
those
auditorium
dates out
around
and then-
8:39.
The homecoming day too, you said was gonna be,
Yep.
pop them out to us so I can put it, if we could all get those dates.
September 25th.
9/25.
Board update on,
Yeah. ribbon cutting.
And I think that's a great idea to do the groundbreaking right after the parade, or was it before the parade?
I think we're shooting after,
After
correct,
the
Mia?
parade.
Correct.
That's perfect, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
So they
And
can go to the
Yeah.
parade, come to the ribbon cutting,
Yeah.
and then go to the game.
Yep.
And the rest of the
Good
board
idea.
members, very
People will
impressed.
come in from town.
Yep, very impressed with what's going on with the new addition and the modifications. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Say the 24th. was the
25th.
New, I mean, back to August.
24th.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
24th, that's a Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, that Monday morning is the first day of in-service.
Okay.
Tom and I are gonna meet on Thursday, and maybe we can finalize that for this week's.
If you could just send us, you're great at communicating,
I'd say
we
that would
appreciate
be
it.
fine. I'll
Okay,
wanna-
any other reports? Item
This first year.
Item 13, other reports. A, the WASB report.
Greg had noted in his report, the WASB Fall Regional Meeting, so just let Jackie know, it's on Tuesday, the 29th, at the Holiday Inn.
Yeah, I think I put that,
Yep.
attached it to under Calendar's
Oh,
report.
yes.
As well, so you have that data in front of you. If you want to attend the pre-convention or whatever that's called, fall regional, pre-regional, let Jackie know as well so we can get you registered for that.
Okay, item B, CISA 9 report.
Okay, I have a CISA 9 report from June that, the minutes have not been, passed or, voted on for the June meeting because we don't have a July meeting. But I can tell you that, the business manager resigned up at, so they're looking for.
Hillary?
No, no, the new person that they hired, they just hired, resigned, so they're actively looking for a business manager. And,
Morgan, you didn't hear me?
I got my hands full here.
and.
I understand.
So we didn't have the July meeting, and the PAC meeting, Greg, you won't have until September.
Yep.
And our annual convention is August 4th at 6:30. So if anybody is interested in going, I will be up there for the meeting. If anybody'd like to ride along, you're more than welcome.
You said August 4th.
Okay.
August 4th, and I usually leave about 4:30, 5 o'clock. Somewhere, it only takes an hour to get up to Tomahawk, so, if I drive a little faster, a little less.
Speeding ticket. All right.
No, I don't go that fast.
Item 14, future agenda items.
What is on here for future?
District-
It's listed on the agenda, couple things for future, district technology usage plan, from what we talked about in June. Tom, Christie and I are putting the finishing touches on a rough draft of it. It's a rough draft, so it will not be up for, it's not final when we show it to you next month. We also, working with Kurt and Kelly on a community fitness center usage document. We want to put some rules and regulations together for that. So we have a rough draft of that we're putting the finishing touches on to bring forward to you. And then it's the annual things of the Booster Club endorsements, the annual meeting agenda, budget presentation, and Act 20.
The only question I had, and I was gonna bring this up earlier, and I apologize.
Good.
When we get the updates all the time from the state, like the agenda reminders for the July school board meetings, do we take a look at all those? Like, for example, I know when we've talked about it, the school boards must identify the district's 26, 27 academic standards at their July meeting.
That was done in the,
Yep,
that was
and-
done in your meeting.
And then the second portion is also requiring the school boards to annually notify the parents or guardians. Now, are we doing that electronically?
Yeah, parents it goes on the, there's a process under which you do that. It goes on your website, so it'll be part of rolling out to parents as part of their welcome back stuff where those
So
standards
that's
are
all out there
addressed.
for them when they're grad, okay.
Yep.
The other thing I had, we talked about in our finance meetings, we revisit that 10-year capital project fund.
Yes.
So maybe during our proposed budget presentation, I know that should be a part of it, but maybe just revisiting that. I know
That's a
we got
good
a lot
idea.
of things checked off the list with the referendum.
Yeah.
Got another one checked off tonight, but maybe let's just revisit that, and then maybe we as a board can set that priority list, because I think Steve probably set the priority list up front, which was his interpretation of what needs to be done, but I think maybe we all own it and set that out.
I've been waiting with this until the referendum was done,
Yep.
because I don't want to
Right.
give Craig a heart attack, but I'm really big on us trying to set up daycare. So that, I will wait until September, October, when Craig is, everything's done and everything's passed, and then he can get riled up again. But I really think our community and our school district would benefit from us getting in the daycare business. So that's my point. Anything else?
No.
No.
I hold the babies.
What's that?
No.
I'll hold the babies every day.
Yeah.
You can make extra money then. All right, item 15, move into closed executive session where section 19.851E reads, deliberation, negotiation, purchase of public properties, investment of public funds, conducting other specific business